Hey guys, welcome back to the woods of Idaho. Today, it's snowy, it's freezing, I'm all bundled up in a bunch of cool Beretta gear that I just picked up recently, and I am out here checking out a trigger from Elftmann Tactical, Elf Trigger. This is a relatively new trigger to the market, and it is unique in that it uses needle bearings in each of the trigger pin locations, the trigger and hammer pin. They're surrounded by bearings, not ball bearings, but needle bearings, roller bearings, and it is super smooth and super fast. It's an all-in-one unit. It drops right in, and the trigger feel is amazing. It's also really easy to take apart. You can switch between the straight shoe that I have on this one for a more normal curved style trigger shoe. And just in general, it's a really cool unit. I've had this for a few months actually. I have been shooting it a lot and I am a big fan so far. So let's go ahead, zoom in, take a closer look, check out what makes this cool, and then we'll put a few rounds down range and see how it feels. Also, as usual when I do a gun review, we're going to do a nice close-up slow motion trigger pull so you can see exactly what it looks like, because this, on the fundamentals, is amazing. It is a really, really awesome trigger. So installed on my lower here, I have both the Elf trigger and their anti-rotation and anti-walk trigger pin kit, which is pretty cool and fairly easy to install. So let's check out this awesome looking trigger. As you can see, it doesn't move at all. And there's some set screws that you can use on the inside to make sure that it fits snugly in your receiver and doesn't wiggle in your receiver at all. So, zero slack, zero take up. It is rock hard. Now I'm pulling on it. Click. Short travel, no over travel whatsoever. And the reset, super short. Again, if I let my finger off now, doesn't move. Rock solid right where it is. Break. Wow, amazing. I mean, easily one of the best triggers I have ever felt, whether on a bolt action or a semi-automatic, anything. It is awesome. I don't know how it could be improved. The break feels a little bit soft, maybe, but it's crisp. There's no creep, no nothing, no over travel. Reset super short. The reset is loud, and you can feel it in your hands. It's really solid, and then you come right back onto it for another clean, short, crisp break. Now, personally, I think one of the cool things about a flat trigger blade is that it's comfortable no matter where you put your finger. Whether you're up high on it or down near the bottom, it feels good. And you actually get a higher trigger pull in pounds up near the top and a lighter trigger pull down near the bottom. One more time, a little bit closer. You can see my finger squishing on it, and it does not move. Wow. Awesome, awesome. That is a fast trigger. In addition to the roller bearings that are inside of the pins there's actually one more feature that makes the Elftmann trigger unique in the market as far as I know, and is why they say 100% drop safe there. The hammer actually has a half cock notch, so if it were to be dropped and the hammer slipped off of the sear, it actually catches right there. I don't think there's any other trigger that does that. I'm not entirely sure how important it is, but it would allow you to make a really short sear so you don't have any creep. You have that really great trigger without concern for drop safety. Also worth noting is that the disconnector is a full 1/4 inch in width, which is not typically seen in a lot of these aftermarket AR-15 triggers, whether drop-in or not. Hopefully you can see down in the bottom there that there are 2 set screws. We can see it there, and that is for taking up any slack in your receiver and pinning this up against the trigger pins. Now this isn't unique to Elf, there's a lot of triggers that have those set screws in them. One cool thing that Elf makes is this little blanking plate, and you put that in your receiver before you put the trigger pack in there, and that way the screws push down on this plate instead of pushing down on your receiver. That's important definitely if you have a polymer receiver, but if you don't want to scratch your aluminum one or whatever, there's really no reason at all not to use that little plate. Now as you can see, this trigger on the left, because of the skeletonized hammer, this is Elf's 3-gun trigger, and this one on the right is the match trigger. Now, other than the hammer difference, these triggers are identical. They both have a full power hammer spring, and they both have a set screw in the rear right there that allows you to adjust the trigger pull weight itself from 2.5 pounds to about 4.5 pounds. Very easy to adjust, and you can do it with the trigger inside of the gun, of course, which is great. Now, as I mentioned earlier, and again, this isn't really unique to Elf, but swapping out trigger shoes or hammers is very easy here, and Elf does sell those separately. So if you wanted to move back and forth between flat and curved, or you wanted to go skeletonized or solid or whatever, you can do that quite easily. With it decocked, just push out the little bearing in there, and you can do it with a pen or really with your finger. I mean, it just comes very easily right out. Do the same for the trigger one. And now the trigger shoe just drops out the bottom. There you go, and you've got the chassis of it here. Take the new trigger shoe, put that guy up inside, line up the hole. And now we take the hammer. The spring is still on there, but that's how it goes if your spring has come off. We put it back in, line up this pin, and if I can get it through, there we go. Done. Now we have 2 triggers with flat trigger shoes. Alright guys, that's going to wrap it up on the Elf Match and Elf 3-gun triggers that you see here, both curved and straight. I am a big fan so far. They've been completely reliable for me in the AR-15. They're flawless on the fundamentals, they're fast, they are nice, and keep an eye on the channel because coming up in the near future, over the next month or 2 months or so, I have a lot of drop-in triggers from other companies. We are going to be checking out all of these guys, reviewing them separately, and then at the end, and I actually think I have 1 or 2 more coming that aren't here on this piece of wood, we are going to do a little bit of a shootout, compare them to each other, see which one I guess is the best, or at least which one I like the best. So please like if you would, and subscribe if you want notifications when the reviews on these guys and a couple more come out. And I hope to see y'all next time.